Chiquinha, chiquinha,
Go check out the room.
chiquinha.
Malaysia. This is the Kuala Lumpur airport. Today I'm going to be talking about why you might want to live in Malaysia, and at the same time I'm also going to be just walking around the airport. So I had a chance to have a layover in Malaysia just briefly on my way to Australia from Macau. And so today's goal is just to let you see what it's like inside the airport, and I'm just going to talk about Malaysia at the same time that I do. So right here, I'm just also I kind of enjoy going around airports, and I think that you can also get a feel for what it's like a little bit as well. To the left of me is, to the right is actually two security guards. You almost never see this, but these guys have guns, which is interesting. And to the left is a big supermarket. There's an Indian woman right there, but basically you don't really see that much of people with guns, but they just happen to be there, which I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. Let's just listen to these two's conversation for a second. I wanted to share that because there's a lot of English in Malaysia, and sometimes you don't expect it because anybody can be using it at any time. So you just overhear these little things, and sometimes it's very interesting compared to Thailand or Korea or other places because anybody will approach you with in English, and or you just overhear it all the time. So that's basically kind of why I wanted to share that. It's going to happen again right now as well.
Hello. Ice cream.
There's a Christmas tree. So that's one of the things that people like about Malaysia is that you can speak English with almost everyone there. Probably the best places in Southeast Asia for that is Malaysia. Indonesia is very good with that too. And also Philippines, definitely Philippines and Malaysia. So sometimes people are kind of curious about Islam and what it's like with Malaysia. They do have a kind of a Malay only policy, so you do see Malaysians who have more rights, which is kind of difficult because in a city like Kuala Lumpur there's almost 50% that are not Malay, not Islamic. 25% are Indian and 25% are ethnic Chinese, but they're all very friendly. So, and the Malaysian people, like actually this couple in front of me, there are Malay, and then also the woman to the left it's a guitar case. I couldn't really see the camera angle very well. You can see right here some money, and at the moment I thought that I had money in front of my camera and that you would be able to see it. You can see little snippets of it. I'm still kind of learning the camera, so the camera was on a viewpoint where it didn't quite have as much perspective as I had thought that it might have. Anyways, the hijab is what they wear in Malaysia, so anybody that is Malaysian Malay will have something like that, and they also have there's some kind of odd things. So I think one of them is that if you are Malay and you get married to somebody, that person has to convert to Islam and not the other way around. So there are some laws that sometimes make it maybe not as comfortable. Indonesia has the same laws, I believe, that don't make it as comfortable for an expat who might be single and looking to marry a Malay person, unless you want to convert to Islam, of course. Usually people that are foreigners, they probably end up talking more or get to know, maybe not more, but they get to, if they're dating, I've usually heard that they might seek out the Chinese Malay. They're usually quite educated and they're very open. And the Indian population is a little bit more conservative, but there's no law against them. So the reason I'm kind of mentioning that is because a lot of people, when they look at these videos for Malaysia and Thailand, sometimes they're looking for retirement or looking for some big change in their life. A lot of single people end up in Southeast Asia, it seems like. But anyways, you can just kind of see the different people here. And also, earlier I'll go back to the guys with the guns. That was part of the thing that made me a little bit unsure when I was in this mall, was how much I can film and what I couldn't film. You almost never see that. I didn't really see many tourists with cameras. I saw tourists, of course, but another place I'd see lots of cameras, so I might be a little bit more comfortable showing my camera around, and I wasn't really sure what was legal or not. So this guy's kind of funny. This guy right here, the one on the phone, he ends up in front of me, and this kind of has a walk that's kind of interesting that you don't really see that common in Asia, or maybe you do. I don't know. But anyways, so basically in Malaysia, there's a lot of different ethnic groups. So that's actually kind of interesting when I've been there, because if you're in Thailand or Korea, things are very much only Thai or only Korean or only Japanese or only Chinese, with some small exception. But when you're in Malaysia, you're one of many different people. 50% of the population are not Malay. So basically you're kind of fall into that, and sometimes I kind of felt like, if you're I've been to Malaysia maybe 15 times, and you'll meet this. I'll stop right for a moment. This is the KL Central trains. So it's every 15 minutes it goes downtown, and I think it's maybe 20 minutes, I think. But you take a fast train, and I think it's about 15 American dollars, and there's the prices in ringgit if you did want to translate it and see if I'm correct or not. And then over to the right is where you buy your ticket, and you can either buy it in the money machine, or you can buy it through the counter directly. So AirAsia when I first started coming to Malaysia, they didn't have AirAsia for one, and Thailand was the hub for Southeast Asia, so all the airports, all the airline companies would go through that city, and then it changed maybe 15 years ago. And now Kuala Lumpur is becoming a big hub, and AirAsia is the driver of that. So this airport, when it first came, there was usually just buses that would go back and forth, and take you like about an hour, have to slowly get into the city, sometimes even longer. But now they have an express train, and now the city is very, very well connected, and there's a lot of tourists, so and a lot of travelers. So now if someone was actually thinking about Malaysia, there's an airport that takes you almost everywhere in Southeast Asia very quickly and easily. So I'll go back to the people again. So I remember meeting a guy he's an Indian lawyer, and this was in Malaysia, and he was talking about kind of the Malay only policy and what it was like to be an Indian in Malaysia, and how he wasn't so sure about where he stood. So even though he'd been in Malaysia for generations and generations with all of his ancestors and families, and the same with the Chinese Malay too, they're still not always very comfortable, because there's that Malay only movement with a lot of policies that favor Malays. So but I think in the long run, there are a lot of people that are not in that situation. So these people that have been there for a long time. So I think that if you're an expat, you have a lot of solidarity with a lot of different people who also might not feel like they have 100% rights. Like for example, if you're in another country as a foreigner, you might just lose all your rights right away. But I think that places that have had people there for a very long time, there's more of a system in place. More people would protest or cause some creation or cause a problem if something was to change. I'll talk about the lack of violence. So I love the Philippines. Many people do, but Philippines has a more like those two guys that we saw with guns here. It was very strange to see that. Philippines, that's very common. But in Malaysia, it's very peaceful and relaxing. You can use English almost everywhere. People are very friendly. So I've also found that a lot of Malaysian people, maybe because a lot of foreigners are more interested in, learning Korean and Japanese and Chinese and interacting more on a deeper level there. But we're in Malaysia, there's a lot of English. So I find that if you say anything to a Malay person, like, terima kasih, like thank you, they're usually like, oh, it's like, oh, such a good feeling for them. But I've always had very positive encounters with Malaysian people. They're really typical Southeast Asian. So I think Southeast Asian, you have, Malaysia, Indonesia is more Islamic. Other parts are Buddhist, like Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar. And then you also have your two Catholic countries. So I'll include East Timor with that, and the Philippines. So, but I feel like in general, almost all the people in all of Southeast Asia are very kind and warm and very welcoming, and they have a nice vibe or energy to them. They're just very comfortable people to be around. Like you never feel like you're in some kind of threat or anything like that. And so anyways, Malaysia's a popular place for a lot of people. Let me see, maybe I'll just kind of go through. There's a security guard right there, just has a billy club on him, maybe he has more. So these stores, this is actually kind of typical even when you're in Kuala Lumpur. You see tons of this kind of shopping. And this, I'll just kind of explain this airport. I'm actually not inside the airport, but a lot of stuff that's inside is the same. This is, there's an Indian family as well. There's a lot of people that are there's a lot of this shopping stuff that's inside and outside, and I'm right outside of the airport, but it's all connected. So there's actually like 2 Burger Kings in here. There's a Nando South African restaurant. There's many restaurants and many shopping, and it's kind of like being in a shopping mall. And I'm getting ready for a flight, so I end up buying one of these actually. Let's see, I think I'm asking you or something, but it's not that, I won't play that. It's not really that important. But basically there's you can kind of see, you know, different, there's kind of the Malaysian look, the very typical Malaysian look. I won't even describe it because you can just see it right there visually anyways. Is that the same guy who was walking earlier? Because he's walking around just like I am, kind of randomly. But anyways, while I was walking around, you know, I was kind of a little bit self-conscious because the security, and I'm not really sure if I can walk around the camera or if someone's gonna stop me later and ask me why I'm filming around the airport. So originally I was imagining myself, this right here straight ahead is a supermarket, and this one has almost everything you can imagine. So a lot of people will buy stuff at that supermarket. I guess that I must have turned off the camera, and now I'm walking around in a different place. So yeah, anyways, you can kind of see, you get a feel for Malaysia, maybe a little bit from the airport. There's an airport hotel, there's a couple of them. There's another one that's connected that I've stayed at before. That one is Tune Hotel, which I think has a different name now. Currency exchanges, those are kind of typical, you can find those everywhere. The exchange rate is pretty good in Malaysia anyways. I was kind of surprised because even my Macau money, a lot of times the exchange rate, especially in Hong Kong and most other cities, it's horrible exchange rate. Like you just don't want to exchange Macau money, but in Kuala Lumpur it was almost the same as the Hong Kong dollar, which is generally what it almost is anyways. So okay, and I guess maybe if you have any questions about Malaysia, I can share some of those questions. I can try to answer some of them, or if I can get enough following on my YouTube, maybe other people might be able to answer them as well. I'm not an expert, but I have spent more time than most for, you know, especially compared to expats who maybe don't know it very well. And I've always liked it. It seems like I end up there quite a bit, basically because it's a good transit to get to other places. So you can get linked into India and Thailand, Indonesia, everywhere. So anyways, this is kind of a sense of what the mall is like, and I hope you enjoy the video. And I'm going to be on my way to Australia, so you might be able to see some videos of Australia as well if you tune into that. So first up, it's going to be Sydney. So alright, so I'm going to turn off the camera and go into the airport. Please subscribe to the channel and show some love and some support.